Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Run It Up. Run It Up number 39. We are here today playing a 25-cent, 50-cent, no limit Texas Hold'em cash game. We started out today with $386.93. We've been playing for one hand, so this is hand number 2. I don't know any of these opponents, and I'm ready to run it up. This is it. We've been trying and not succeeding for a couple videos now, but I'm sick of it. I'm sick of trying and failing, so we're in playing cash. We're going to be in the cash game streets, battling it out, starting here with a check raise with our gut shot, 3 straight flush. Works out already. We do successfully check raise the yellow ninja over there. So yeah, we've been, pocket jacks, that's good. We're all ready to go on a heater. Jacks, that's it. Nice little start, I guess. Gonna raise it up here on the button. So yeah, we've been playing for the last 2 days. We're 0-2 in the last 2 sit and goes, and I lost like 3 sit and goes that one day. So we've lost like $100 in the last 2 days, but I'm not concerned. We'll play a longer session today of cash because you guys were asking for that, so I will deliver. I'm here only to serve. I'm but the actual hand that holds the sword. You have commanded me to play. So decided to limp here with the 8-7 offsuit in the cutoff behind this guy who we've already seen. He limped small blind versus my big blind and then folded to a raise. So I don't particularly think that his limp is strong. We could also raise pre-flop, of course. I think that's also fine, but I think that either option is okay. And at this point, not knowing our opponents, I'm fine with just calling. Whitey Slacks over there decides to bet half pot into us as the big blind. I think the only real decision here is to call. I don't really think that anything else makes much sense. I mean, raising doesn't really accomplish a lot. Calling seems to accomplish the most. Folding makes no sense because we have an 8. On this turn card here, we're still ahead of flush draws, straight draws, stuff like that. We beat 4s once in a while. I mean, we definitely lose to queens, but we're not ahead of a ton of things. Also, his bet sizing doesn't make me particularly convinced that he's super, super strong. Half pot doesn't necessarily mean enormous strength. Now that he checks, we have a decision between checking and betting. When we're evaluating this decision, we have to kind of look at what better hands that he is going to fold and what worse hands he could call with. And when you look at those two things, I don't think there's too many that I don't think he either calls it worse or folds better. If he has any queen or a better 8, I don't think he folds either of those. And if he has worse than us, whether it's a 4 or a flush draw or like a flush draw that turned to pair, I don't think those are necessarily calling too often. Or I'm at least not sure, given that I don't know my opponent at all. So I decided to check back, and we did lose to queen deuce, which is not a crazy hand to show up with by any means. Limped around in the big blind. In this hand, we raised under the gun with ace-9 of puppy dog feet. That's right. And we have flopped the toppest of pairs. He decides to check. We have a pretty easy decision to give him the old $1.50, the old $1.50 ball. Don't see why not. The check and the minimum raise. So I'm slightly concerned here, of course, but not incredibly concerned. You could have some 9s, you could have straight draws, flush draws, stuff like that. It's not necessarily mandatory that he has an 8 or something like that. Jack is not the greatest of turn cards. If he has 10-7, he has a straight. If he has Jack-10, he has top pair. Him betting $1, though, makes me feel like it's pretty unlikely that he has us, like, crushed. You would think that if he had a hand like King-8, he would bet bigger just to prevent us from having to draw. We could raise here for value. In fact, I think I'm actually going to bet make a raise. Like, I'm interpreting this dollar into 8 or 9, whatever it was, to basically be a check. All right, well, he decides to shove, so I guess we're just folding at this point. But I had thought that when he bet $1 that he was so likely to just be like block betting, like he had a hand like 9-10 or like some sort of a heart draw type of thing, like 6-7. Like I interpret that to mean it was more likely to be a weaker hand, but I guess maybe there's a chance he actually had us there given how quickly he shoved. I would be kind of surprised if he showed up with something that was worse than ace-9 there. Although I guess he could have like a 9 and a big draw, something like that, but that we're ahead of. But I believe we're beat. That's just my guess. I think I would be surprised if he showed up too wide there. All right, so 10-4 suited here. I defended in the big blind against the button raise. Once again, he bet half pot. I think we have a decision between calling and raising. I actually think I'm going to start with a raise here. Given that it's a cash game, I think I'd prefer raising to calling. Calling is certainly fine, but I think I'd prefer check raising. Getting him to fold just his 2 overcards type of hand. All we have is a 4, pretty weak hand. I don't really want to check call and then check the side. I mean, I could, but I don't love that. Given that he called, I think I'm going to actually just check now. I think if he has a hand better than ours, he's not going to fold it at this point. Like if he has a hand like pocket sevens, I think that's still going to call. But I think it goes check check here a good percentage of the time. If he decides to bet, we've got a decision between calling and folding. I think I'm gonna actually call. There's too many hands that are like pair plus draw. We beat threes, we beat some fours, and once in a while he has just like hands we actually beat on the flop. So I'm gonna start here with a call. 8 on the river doesn't really change anything. We definitely lose to plenty of like king X's. That certainly makes sense, but I would be surprised to see him bet a hand like 6s here. Looks like 10-4 was the best hand, so we did ship that at least. I like how he played that hand. I think that hand was reasonably played by us. If he had bet the river, it would have been a tough decision. And the small blind here with a7 suited, sometimes I re-raise, sometimes I call. I think it's a matter of knowing your opponent, dynamic history, all those reasons to do one thing or another. I'm going to start here with a call, though. I think I'd rather play smaller pots out of position against a player I don't know at all. Even though our hand is good enough that we could re-raise, I think I'm fine with just calling. So flop goes check check. This is one of those spots where we want to give him the business because he's shown himself to be a little weak by checking back this flop. He can't be that strong, so that kind of gives us the green light to give him the business there. And we never say no when someone asks to be given the business. Gonna fold the 3-7 offsuit here in the button. That's it. Easy fold. So today is the look, we've got our clone, the first other Conor McGregor avatar that I've seen. Now we've got some leprechaun violence about to head in on here. That's it. we're gonna see who has the real Lucky Charms, I guess, huh? Ghostman 23. I don't know if he knows what he's in for, but we're in for a fight. It's a little not fair because we're in position, so we're a pretty big favorite purely by the fact that we have position on him most hands. But that doesn't slow me down. I'm not. There's no such thing as handicaps in poker. We're going to war. We'll see who ends up with more money. So this is the first video of. I'm planning on doing 2 or 3 videos tonight, 2 or 3 videos tomorrow, 2 or 3 videos on Wednesday, and then flying to New York for 6 days. That's the current plan that I'm trying to work on. However, the problems with this plan and why I think this might not work is because 2 days ago was the EPT Barcelona High Roller, which I stayed up all night to watch, so I didn't fall asleep till like 10 in the morning on whatever day that was that final table happened, and my sleep schedule has been so messed up since then that I'm afraid I'm going to be in New York and like waking up at 9 p.m. It's just going to be like, hey friends, welcome everyone. I hope you all want to hang out at 3 in the morning when I'm like ready for breakfast. In this hand, I think we have a decision between raising, calling, and I don't think I'm actually gonna fold here ever. I think we can fold sometimes, but I'm not really super convinced we should be folding a hand as good as Ace-5 in the big blind with a post in there. 5-handed. I can't imagine we're folding a hand this good. I mean, it's just not really one of those things I like to do. So against a bet, I think we have only one decision to make, and that is to call. You have to think about what would raising accomplish in this situation. I don't think raising would accomplish very much. Like, he's not going to call us with pocket jacks and then call again and then call again. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think raising makes a whole lot of sense. I think check calling makes the most sense. He's bet twice here. I'm still not really ready to fold. I'm a little concerned because he's raised pre-flop and then bet, so we're in bad shape against any high ace. But I think we still have to call given the price and everything and how good our hand is, generally speaking. We also do beat plenty of diamonds, straight draws, stuff like that, pure bluffs. Gonna start here with a check. We beat ace-9, lose to every other big ace. All right. Don't think so. Can't bluff us, huh? we're sticky Mickey ourselves over here. We're not going anywhere. That's it. Jack 4 offsuit here in the small blind. We'll probably be folding to a raise, but weirder things have happened. So yeah, gonna fold that there. So this should be a fun week. I haven't been home in 4 months, and by home I guess I should mean my former home state. But I'm looking forward to getting back there, seeing some people, doing some things, making some cool videos on the road, actually. I'll be bringing my crew out there with us. So all the cool videos that I had in mind for doing while we were here, and instead we built this lovely thing. That's right, this lovely thing. Have you guys all seen this yet? I hope you have all seen this at this point. Look at this. We can do this angle while we wait. We can be like, hey, look, we got this going on. We have that there. That's all sweet. But we also got this one, which I am not quite as, we'll use it at some point, I'm sure. But I haven't really had a great reason to use that shot for Run It Up yet. But that's going to be great for when we're doing more like other things. I've got good ideas for everything. I've got more ideas than time these days, but I'm excited to finally have like 3 days that I've like set aside to make videos in this attempt to head back to New York to do videos and some other cool meeting type of things there. Yes, that's right. But yeah, this should be an awesome week for videos. I'm excited. I'm excited to share with you guys some of the ideas I have. This is just, this is just a good old solid Run It Up staple. We're going to be betting here, of course. Check to us with a gut shot. We can't say no. How do we say no? Do pick that pot up there. It's hard, they check to you and you just go, all right, I'm going to bet. Why not? And then they just fold. That's how you actually win at poker. When people check to you, bet. If there's ever a thing you've learned from any of these videos that, it should be that when it's checked to you and you're not sure what to do, bet. You can always blame me. I'll take some percentage of the blame when you go, oh, I was in this situation and I wasn't sure what to do, so I just, bet. That's it. You can blame it on me that I told you it was okay. I mean, typically speaking, more likely than not, it probably was correct to bet. It's just how poker works. 10 deuce suited here in the big blind. We'll probably be defending against a single raise. Don't like folding suited hands. Never mind to min raises. Let's see a flop dealer. All right, not the best of flops with 10 deuce, but I suppose we have a 3 flush and a rather optimistic 3 straight. All right, we've turned nothing. Old Jay Carver did just tell us when in doubt to bet, but I think we just check. I mean, like, there's a chance that we could bet and he'll just have nothing and fold. However, when people check back on ace-high boards, more often than not, they typically have something. Now, that something is not always and is actually more likely to be not very good, than super good. If you imagine that it comes ace jack 5 or whatever the flop was, you have to imagine that if he had anything really good, he's more likely to bet than not. Also, you have to imagine that if he had anything that was really bad, like let's say he had deuce 3, is he really just going to check back? That really depends on opponent and history and stuff like that. And I'm not really sure at this point that this opponent is just saying like, all right, you can have it, I give up. I don't think that that's the case necessarily. So given that, I think our turn bet there would have been bad. In this hand, we limped in the small blind with ace-9, 8-9 offsuit. Going to start off with a min bet. We have a 3 straight, 3 flush, top pair, all of the beautiful, wonderful things, but our opponent decides to say, no thank you. All right, we tried. What can you do? 8-6 offsuit here on the button. We will be coming in for a raise, certainly. All right, raise it up. 101 dealer. That's right. What are you going to do about it, kids? I'm not sure what this avatar is in like reference to. I feel like I should know, and I might even know, I'm just not remembering, but I can't quite recall what that is even like a slight reference to. 3-9 of hearts here. We could come in for a raise and try to attack. Try to pick up this dead post here in the cutoff. But I feel like our hand is so bad that I'm not necessarily sure it's going to be a winning spot to attack in. If you imagine that our opponent, people are smart enough, even at these limits for sure, to realize that someone has posted and then we're raising likely lighter than usual, and the correct response to that is to either raise or call, especially in position. And I feel like these two opponents are probably going to do that correctly enough that we're not going to win there with 3-9 suited. That might be the most reasonable explanation that I think I've ever put together on a video for YouTube. I'm pretty happy with that explanation. I think that was relatively coherent. I can't wait till I watch this video back later and I'm just like, oh my god, I meant to say or instead of and. That happens relatively often, but not relatively often. I would say that happens like once every 3 videos. I'm like, I'll watch the video back later and just be like, oh my god, I meant to say or. Once in a while, I'll correct it on the annotations if it's like a true negative when I meant to say like, you know, yes you can, instead I say no you can't. But I feel like that last explanation was relatively coherent, so props. I followed along in my head perfectly. It was a beautiful, wonderful thing. Gonna be folding here to a min raise, even though I both love min raises and calling. Oh, our twin brother over there decides to take this one. All right, you got this one, bud. No problem. This one's all you. He picks up $1.50 there for his troubles. Not a bad day's work for a little leprechaun, you know. Ace nine of diamonds here in the ace nine of diamonds here in the small blind. We will be playing this pot most likely. If our friend on the button raises, we'll be coming in for a re-raise. We assume our opponent is probably playing more hands than not, given the button. I'm making it a little bit smaller here than maybe I would normally. I just don't know our opponents really well. I just don't want him to fold, really. I kind of want him to stick along. I feel like our hand is likely to be the favorite by a decent margin. Not the best flop nor the worst flop for ace-9. I am likely still to have the best hand. It is possible I do not, but I think it is more likely that we do than not. By a decent margin, actually. I mean, we lose to pocket pairs, 6x, jack x. Those things are not incredibly likely. He does decide to call. So we have a decision as to whether or not we can bluff this hand or not. I think I'm going to actually start here with a check. I find it hard to imagine that if he has a hand that is like pocket sevens, 6x, you know, any of those types of hands, I find it hard to imagine that those hands are folding to a turn bet. I think I'm going to actually call, though. I think there is a decent chance that our hand is best, at least often enough, given the price we're being laid. I'm slightly concerned here. We also are ahead of clubs, by the way, which is another big reason to call. Jack on the river is a good card for us. I assume it's going to go check here a lot. If he has just a 6, he's probably checking. If he has even a hand like 2 7s, he might check that. That hand might actually bet, but shove is interesting. So I feel like there's a chance if we were playing for my own money and not run it up bankroll, I would actually be considering calling this. But given that for us, this $41 represents like 10% of our bankroll for a call that is very narrow and likely losing. I mean, we're losing that a lot. You know, that's the kind of spot where we're not winning that very often. So often he just has a jack or like some weird, like he might have aces or kings or something strange. You know, we lose that hand so often that against a guy we don't know too well, we're folding that almost in every instance, but particularly because it's run it up and our bankroll is slightly, you know, limited. I think making a call that heroic is something that's kind of out of the question. If we had a hand like 2 10s, it would be a really sick spot for us because I would be much more likely to be considering calling. And with ace-9, though, I feel like we can just fold there. But yeah, I think that makes sense. There's a possibility that we're ahead against something that he is bluffing us, but you know, I think it's very unlikely. Not knowing our opponent, I think it's fairly unlikely. All right, so we called here with King 9 suited against Ghost Man 29. Came Ace Ace 7. I would have called if he bet because we have King High, but instead he decides to check, which is interesting. I will start off with a bet, $1.50. If he folds, we probably have the best hand. If he calls, I mean, I'm fine with him folding because I have no idea what he's doing exactly when he checks. There's a possibility he's check calling. Like, I think it makes us, we gain some information by betting. Also, we get him to just fold whatever amount of equity he has in the pot. He has to have some, you know, his cards have some value because we have no pair. So I'm fine with getting him to just surrender that and make us have a simple decisions. King 10 offsuit in the, wow, we're not in cutoff, are we? We're in the hijack. Decide to raise to $1.25. That's right. Getting ready for going back to Long Island. Everything's $1.25. That's right. Under the gun, 5-4 offsuit. All right, we'll let one hand go. We'll take one hand off to just rest and relax and chill out. So I'm actually really feeling the poker bug these days. I'm not really sure why. I've been for many months. I was like, I've always loved poker, and you know, sometimes I'll go like a week without really wanting to play. but I almost always come back to poker, and I think I'll actually play poker forever. I do really truly love poker. I mean, not just for what it's done for me, which is obviously significant, and I'm quite quite appreciative of that. Don't get but I've always been very appreciative of what poker has allowed me to do, but I haven't really necessarily wanted to compete on the really get out there, grind, play tournaments. I still don't really want to grind. Don't get me don't get me wrong. But I'm feeling the bug to get out there and compete in some of the bigger buy-in stuff, and even just watching the EPT high roller for however many hours I spent watching it, and it was a lot. You get jonesing a little bit. I want to get out there and battle it out. So I'm not sure when that will be happening again, but I'm looking forward to that when I have some time. Ace 5 offsuit here in the big blind. Certainly going to be calling. $1 more. All right, here you go. Let's see a flop. Not as good as our last flop when we call with Ace 5 in the big blind. Not a terrible flop for us either, though. Kind of a hard flop for him to hit. Ace high is at least possibly the best hand. I would have considered continuing. Don't need to continue, though. We can continue for free. Gonna start here with a bet. I think $2 is fine. If he calls, we've got a decision on the river as to whether or not we should be betting or checking. I assume we have the best hand here more often than not by a lot, just because he didn't bet on flop. So I assume that we're ahead with a 5. Looks like we were. 3-7 offsuit here in the small blind. No, thank you. Don't think we need to get in there that widely. I've been playing a bunch of League of Legends the last couple of days. I've been trying to get up to silver 2. I had the game when you're playing League of Legends, you're playing on a ladder, or at least I do, because I can't play for fun, even though the ladder is not particularly super meaningful. It means something to me, all right? So when you get ready to go to the next division, so to speak, you play a qualifying series, and it's a best of 3, and I got to game 3. The pressure was on, the heat of the moment. All of Dan O'Brien's words in the back of my head about me not being a pressure player. If you saw the shootout video, Dan accused me of not being a pressure player, which let's not even get into how untrue that is. But he was right this time, because I cracked under the pressure and was not able to complete that little promotion series, unfortunately. But that's what I spent my majority of my off time this Labor Day weekend doing. So our Conor McGregor brother over there decided to make it $1 or something like that, and we decided to re-raise on the button, and then he decided to re-raise. Given the math of the situation, I actually think we can call. Now, I'm aware of how loose this is, but I actually think this is profitable, especially because we have position, because of how deep we are. So if you, as the player, decided to not play the hand this way, I wouldn't blame you, but I think I can get away with this and show a profit here in position. So this is one of those good flops for us to continue on. Now, I'm aware of how much money he has bet, and I'm aware of I'm aware of how tenuous this is, but we're calling 12 to win 30, and I think we can win this hand on a lot of brick turn cards, especially if he doesn't have a pair yet. That's obviously a pretty good turn card for us, because now we turn an actual flush draw and a straight draw, and I think it's likely that if he has a hand like Ace King, Ace Queen, he just check folds, which would be nice. We will see. If he shoves, we have to actually call, which is kind of silly because we've turned the best card in the deck for us. But, yeah. So I'm going to bet here. I would assume that he'll fold if he has just ace jack, something like that now. He might not, which I'm not really too concerned about, though, because we have jack high. I mean, we have such a good hand at this point with a open-ended straight end flush draw that he'll probably fold all his no pair hands. And even if he doesn't, we're still 30% against anything, really. All right, pick that pot up there. So I would imagine that there'll be a comment or two about that hand. Jake Carver, why can't you just fold the Jack 3 of clubs? Well, first of all, we're trying to battle it out against our clone here. We gotta teach the Conor McGregor some business. He's gonna see it. All right. This time we'll just. No, we got to re-raise with the Jack 5s. The Jack 3 of spades. We just did it. We got the same hand twice. So you got to go for it again. Yeah, he's just, I don't think there's much that he can do in that spot if he just has two two big cards. Like he in that situation, he decides not to let us go to war twice with the Jack 3 of spades. He's like, all right, I can't beat the Jack 3. Just give it up there. You know, you know what we'll do? I just had this idea. This is not pre-faked. I think what we'll do is we'll go back and talk about that Jack 3 hand at the end of the video. How about that? We'll do a turn. We'll do a full camera. We'll do a wide. I like that idea. Let's do that. We'll go back to the Jack 3 hand at the end. So I probably should get that hand history somehow. I think I can get it off the client, but we'll go over that one at the end. I guess we'll do a little bit of an in-depth stop and chat over that Jack 3 hand. I actually wonder if maybe there's a chance I can make some I've got some ideas, but I think we'll try doing a review of that hand particularly. Not that I think that hand is like some like slam dunk, super awesome, must do it to be a winner at poker wizardry. I just think that every decision there is like slightly close and probably fine, slightly close and probably fine. And that's, the kind of thing I like to do. We like to get in there and throw. It's a street fight. We're playing some cash game poker. You can't just fold the Jack 3 of clubs. If you're going to call it a street fight, you can't fold the Jack 3 of clubs there, I don't think. Anyway, it worked out good for us. This time, at least. Also, we'll talk more about that hand later, but I feel pretty good about it. It's the kind of situation that gets us in trouble, though, and why I think my style is particularly high variance, because the expected value of that is probably not very high. I mean, I believe that whole thing is winning slightly given the circumstances, but I don't think that it is mandatory to be a huge winner at poker. I just think that I have fun doing things like that, and I feel like they're probably winning, so that's what we do. So in this instance, against a player we've been 3-betting a lot, I don't really want to 3-bet him. We just saw him 4-bet. I don't really want to call either because our hand is really not great, so I think we just fold with this hand. But this hand is one of those versatile type of hands where I can pretty much do, that's right, anything, any of the options all seem fairly viable to me. 5-4 clubs in the button, we're certainly going to be seeing a flop of this beautiful little hand. We'll be seeing a flop here for sure, assuming that the hand actually gets to us at some point. Sock puppet Super Archie over there decides to fold. I think we'll probably just call here. At this point, we've re-raised a bunch. I mean, we could definitely re-raise as well. That's also fine, but I think calling is... I think they're both very close to the same value given given the history and the session length they're probably playing. On this flop, you could consider raising. That accomplishes some things. Like if he has a hand like 2 7s, 2 9s, he probably just folds to a raise. Calling, I think, is fine as well. We decided to call here. Spade is an interesting turn card. I would assume that it's possible he has a hand that's like ace-jack with a spade, no spade even. It's possible he has like ace-jack, king-x. He could have just like any kind of spade draw. You can consider raising, calling, or folding here. All of those options are viable, but I think I'm going to actually just fold. I think he's at least a little bit suspicious that we're messing with him, and he is at least somewhat aware of our reputation, I think. So I'm slightly concerned that a raise on the turn won't necessarily get it done. It's also possible that for a turn raise to be really profitable, we have to also bet the river, and I'm just not confident enough that he'll fold a hand like ace-jack, like a red ace-jack on the river if we raise turn and bomb the river. I'm not sure he folds like ace-4, whatever non-two pair aces, no spade or whatever. So I felt like we should just fold there, and that wasn't profitable enough to mess around. It might have been fine though. Once in a while we we have to just say no, we can get in there and mix it up a lot, but once in a while we just say no, thank you. So yeah, I'm looking forward to headed back to New York. Like I was saying before, there's so many cool things going on out there that not only do I want to just go back and see family and friends I haven't seen in months, but I've also got some cool New York based media and other sorts of things like that to do. and I'm excited to share all that cool stuff with you guys because I'm gonna be bringing in the camera crew. That's it. Daniel Negreanu makes fun of me now because every place I go, if I have the preference, I try to bring a crew because it's there's cool videos to be made. We're in the video making business these days. That's what we do here. I actually think that even more than poker or anything else, I mean, I guess it's pretty obvious if you've been watching any of these videos, but I'm loving this video making thing. Like, these poker videos I enjoy, but, I enjoy them. Do I love them all the time? Not all the time, but I really enjoy making them most days. But making like live cool videos, getting into production and like filmmaking, that kind of like more cinematic type stuff, I love that kind of thing. Like during the summer when we did bracelet hunting, I wasn't really able to put the time and effort into really making that like the final table was, for example. Like, I wasn't really able to put all my time and attention and focus into that, and I feel like we could have done a better job with that, and I didn't really get a chance to enjoy it much because I was trying to, win a World Series of Poker bracelets. So I'm excited to take that team out to do some work. All right, Pocket Jacks here in the small blind. We'll also be doing work with Pocket Jacks here. All right, Sock Puppet decides to make it 150. We'll probably be re-raising this, but we could also consider calling. I mean, all right, well, this is one of those hands where we're going to be re-raising and not folding, especially against the guy that we just re-raised before. He expects us to be loose and aggressive, so my plan is to re-raise here and then not fold if he shoves. He can assume that we're doing this and actually folding. Given that he knows that we're potentially running it up, there's a chance that he'll be tighter here if he knows that we're kind of tight in this spot. But we've actually 4-bet bluffed a couple times in these videos, haven't we? I think there was at least one spot where we 4-bet bluffed. Oh, there was a couple. There was the hand in the stream video from a while ago where we, the guy posted under the gun. We raised in the big blind. He re-raised and we shipped like, what was it, like Queen 3? Yeah, I think we've shown down a couple of light re-raises enough times that it's not mandatory. Like, we've shown down light hands enough that I think we can get it in with jacks there pre-flop if we needed to. Didn't have to this time though. We have a kind of a unique image that we haven't really had too often in these videos, because most of these videos we end up like calling a lot and then we do the most of our battling post-flop. In this video, I feel like we've done most of our battling pre-flop. Well, some of our battling pre-flop. More than normal was my point. So it's not that anyone's really adjusted to it so far, but it's an interesting like nuanced difference in dynamic. I have this idea for videos that maybe one of the series I'll try to do simultaneously with everything else. Like, I've done a lot of run it ups in the last few weeks and then some like random sessions, and I want to finish Life and Times of Jay Carver because I'm ready. Don't worry. We had to get the new set, Labor Day weekend, things had to happen, but we definitely will be wrapping that up. But after that, I'm considering doing a series like for more new players. Like, people have said sometimes they don't quite, I try to, these videos in my mind, I try to make them like entertaining, but poker, like it's a mix, none of these, I've never once said I'm making poker strategy videos. Like, I'm not explicitly trying to teach you how to play poker, like, we're having fun playing poker, relaxing, hanging out, telling stories. Like, that's what we're trying to do here. And as a side effect of that, if you watch and pay attention and would like to learn to get better, I think you can learn some things, But I'm thinking maybe making a beginner video series that kind of like will cover just almost like the basic stuff and like enough to understand these videos without any question, like to understand just different terms, terminology, words, terms like terminology. And I think I might be doing something like that. So if that sounds interesting to you, let me know in the comments below. So in this particular situation, I think we have a decision between raising and calling. I think we're actually going to raise. There's a chance that if he has a pair, he just folds. Like, let's say he has pocket threes. We'd be very happy to see him just fold here. If he decides to go with it, we're fine with it too. We've got diamonds, so decided to turn this into a semi-bluff here. At the term for future definition. If you don't know what a semi-bluff is, that's what this series would be for, and you should tell me in the comments below to make this beginner series. So I think that it could be fun to do like we sit down at a table, a real table, do it to camera, talk about some cool things, just like how poker generally works. Like that's how I kind of envision that, and I think that's probably a good idea for me to do, whether or not a lot of you guys want to watch this, because I think that would be kind of just a good way to just kind of expand the general audience. I don't think there's really not too much good like super beginner poker content that I've been able to see. Not that I've looked for much of it, but so I'm considering doing that as well. Amongst everything else, on the other end of that, I'm looking forward to doing a high stakes video in the next couple of days as well. Plenty of that kind of stuff, and I'm open to requests. It's like DJ Carver over here. If you want to see something, let me know. I usually will bend a little bit if I'll bend what I've got planned if there's good enough ideas. That was much more like breaking than bending. There you go. Much more reasonable. So we're probably going to play for another couple of orbits. We've been playing this session for 35 minutes. So yeah, we've been playing this session for a while. This upgraded software lets me know how long I've been playing for. So we had a longer cash game session. If we can survive these next 4 hands or so, we'll have finally potentially rebirthed the heater day 1. That would be nice. The heater. That's right. I wanted to make sure the fireplace was still on. That fireplace is so awesome, man. I've been like, I don't know how many times at like 3 or 4 in the morning the last couple days. I don't turn it off like when I'm just in the office, in my little office here. So I just like will just get up and walk over and I just laugh every time I see it. It's so awesome. It's just like, burning away, living life. And no, it's not a real fireplace. You don't have to worry about me actually maintaining it or anything. It doesn't even create heat. There's like a button that can make it create heat. It's not quite the old school fireplace, but I love it all the same. Don't we all? All right, couple more hands here. 10 queen offsuit. That's certainly going to get raised up. All right, 101 dealer. Let's do it. Second to last hand. Getting in there with 10 queen offsuit. They say no thank you. 75 more cents for the vault, for the team running up vault. Very last hand under the gun here. Deuce for offsuit, no thank you. All right, we've done it. We have booked ourselves a win. $41.04 in the bank. What are we up to now? So we won 49.04 and we had 86.93, 427.97. All right, that's a nice sounding number there. We did some work today. Finally, back on a heater. All right, so let's do this. All right, so let's talk about that Jack 3 hand for a little bit because that was the one that was most interesting of the whole session. So, the Jack 3 hand, our opponent opened to $1.25 in the cutoff. We made it $3.50 on the button, or maybe even $3, something like that. Our opponent re-raised to 9 or 9 and change, and we decided to call because we still had $50 left. Like, I think that call pre-flop is close but profitable given that we have position and our stacks are so deep, but I can certainly see why people would not want to call their pre-flop, but I think I can show a profit here in this particular situation. If I was playing against Isildur, would I call there with Jack 3 suited? No, I don't think so, because I feel like, I might, depending on exact situations, but I'd certainly be less inclined to call there. Not saying that my opponent isn't decent. He certainly seemed like he played relatively reasonably the whole session, but when you're playing against somebody who's going to put you in some really tough situations, someone that's going to make it really hard to play well post flop, even when you have position. I actually kind of think that with that Jack 3 suited hand, I might even be able to call even against Isildur if I really, really was feeling my oats that day. Maybe. But given that I don't know the opponent, given that I don't really know the opponent, and we have position and our stacks are so deep, I think it's close but okay to call. Flop came down 9-6-4, 2 spades and a club. So we did flop a backdoor flush draw, a very optimistic backdoor straight draw, and an overcard. So I think my jack is good for one. When he bets 12 into like 30, we're getting a really good price to call for if we think there is some chance that he'll check fold turns, which I do. If there's a chance that he'll check fold like actually good hands when like scary cards come off, like spades or any kind of those middling straight cards. And I think that I actually wish we were a little bit deeper, because one of the issues is, let's say the turn card is the 5 of spades and he has ace king offsuit with the ace of spades. He might just shove, in which case we're really making a mistake by calling flop, because we're basically hoping that we're basically floating and hoping that he will check fold turn. So I think the flop call is very close, but I think it's all right. I definitely could believe that there are lots of situations where it's probably wrong to be in there and we should just fold. But I think in this instance, I think every decision is like close and slightly profitable, and we happen to make it work this particular session. One reason not to do all this, by the way, is because of what we said before about our bankroll being kind of limited. So we do want to kind of avoid situations like this that are so high variance for such a high percentage of our stack. But I can't help myself. What can you do? I just can't help myself. I don't know what to say. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Also, let me know what you thought about this whole like stop and chat about like the most interesting hand of the session, this kind of like breakdown thing. It's a little more strategy heavy, but if you guys like this kind of thing, I think we'll do it more often. I kind of like this general format. So back with more videos tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all these cool things. I like that kind of stuff. So I really appreciate it. Every one of those, I read every single comment. I read all your messages. I reply to all your messages. So thanks so much for all those things. I really appreciate it. And I'll be back with more tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Peace.